So you're scrolling through Instagram and your buddy just posted a picture with his brand new BMW 3 Series. You know he makes about the same as you, maybe 60, 70,000 a year, and you're sitting there thinking, wait, if he can afford that, why am I still driving my 2015 Honda Civic? So you do what any rational person would do. You head over to the BMW dealership's website, plug in some numbers, and boom, $450 a month. You're like, I can swing that. I mean, that's less than my rent. That's basically nothing. And here's the thing. The dealership is going to tell you the exact same thing. They're going to run your credit, smile real big, and say, congratulations, you're approved for up to a $65,000 vehicle. But can you actually afford it? That's what we need to talk about. My name is Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people are broke despite making good money. If you're someone who feels like you're making decent income but can't seem to get ahead financially, or you're about to buy a car and you're not sure what you can actually afford, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I'm going to show you the actual math behind car affordability, not the math the dealership shows you, and I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to look at car buying completely differently. The bank approving you for a loan has nothing to do with whether you can actually afford something. Let me say that again. Just because a bank will give you money doesn't mean you should take it. According to Experian's 2023 State of the Automotive Finance Market Report, the average new car loan in America is now over $48,000, with an average monthly payment of $736. For used cars, it's still over $525 a month. Now you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, but people need cars. This is just what it costs now. And you're right, people do need transportation, but here's where it gets really interesting. According to a study by AAA, the average American spends about 19% of their income on transportation. But when you break that down by income level, people making under $50,000 a year are spending closer to 30% of their income on transportation, while people making over $100,000 are only spending about 15%. Think about that for a second. The people who can least afford expensive cars are spending double the percentage of their income on them. This is the car affordability trap, and it's keeping millions of people broke. Before we get into the actual numbers, we need to talk about why we make such terrible decisions about cars in the first place. Cars are weird, man. They're like this perfect storm of bad financial psychology. First, there's the status thing. Your car is the most visible thing you own. Nobody sees your retirement account when you pull up to work. Nobody sees your emergency fund when you're sitting in traffic, but everyone sees your car. And our brains are wired to care about what other people think of us. It's evolutionary. It kept us alive for thousands of years, but now it's bankrupting us. Second, there's the monthly payment trap. Dealers know that if they can get the payment to a number that sounds reasonable, your brain stops doing math. They'll be like, we can get you into this truck for just $599 a month. And you're thinking, oh, that's only 20 bucks a day. I spend more than that on lunch. But here's the thing, 20 bucks a day is $7,310 a year for 6 years. That's almost $44,000. Plus interest, you're probably paying over 50 grand for that truck. Third, and this is the big one, we massively underestimate the true cost of car ownership. We think about the payment, we might think about insurance, but we don't think about maintenance, repairs, registration, tires, gas, depreciation, and all the other stuff that comes with owning a car. According to AAA's 2024 data, the average cost to own and operate a new vehicle is about $12,000 per year. That's $1,000 a month, and that's the average. If you buy something more expensive or less reliable, it's going to be even more. All right, so let's get into the actual math. And look, I know math isn't fun, but this is the stuff that's going to change your life, so stick with me. The old rule that financial advisors would tell you is that your car payment shouldn't exceed 10 to 15% of your gross monthly income. But here's where I'm going to push back on that a little bit. That's just looking at the payment, not the total cost of ownership. What I want you to do instead is this: your total transportation costs, and I mean everything, the payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, registration, tires, gas, depreciation, and all the other stuff that comes with owning a car, should not exceed 15% of your gross income. And honestly, if you want to build wealth, you should be aiming for 10% or less. Let me show you what this looks like at different income levels. Say you make $50,000 a year. That's about $4,167 per month gross. 15% of that is $625 per month for total transportation. Now, let's say insurance is going to run you $150 a month, and for a lot of young people, it's going to be way more than that. Gas is probably $100 to $200 depending on your commute. Maintenance and repairs, you should budget at least $75 to $100 a month on average. Yes, some months you won't spend anything, but then you'll have a $1,200 repair and you need to have budgeted for it. So we're already at $375 to $450 before we even get to the car payment. That leaves you with about $175 to $250 for the actual payment. A $200 a month payment at current interest rates, let's say 7% for someone with good credit, on a 5-year loan means you can afford about an $11,000 car. That's it. Not the $30,000 crossover you were looking at, an $11,000 car. But Rayhan, you're saying, I can't get a decent car for $11,000? Yes, you can. You absolutely can. It's not going to be new, it's not going to have all the fancy features, but you can get a reliable Honda, Toyota, Mazda, or even certain Chevys and Fords for that price. Will it be 2015 or 2016? Probably. Will it have some miles on it? Yeah, but it'll get you from point A to point B without destroying your financial future. Now, let's look at someone making $75,000 a year. That's $6,250 a month gross. 15% is $937 for total transportation. Let's use the same numbers. $150 for insurance, $175 for gas, maybe they have a longer commute, $100 for maintenance. That's $425. Leaves you with about $500 for a payment. At 7% interest over 5 years, that's about $27,000 car. You're getting into newer used car territory here, maybe a 3 or 4-year-old vehicle that's going to be reliable and still have some warranty left. At $100,000 a year, $8,333 a month, 15% is $1,250. After insurance, gas, maintenance, let's say insurance is $200 at this income level because you might be buying something nicer, you've got about $700 to $800 for a payment. That's a $37,000 to $42,000 car budget. This is where it gets really interesting. You know what costs $42,000 new right now? A really nice loaded Toyota Camry or Honda Accord. You know what else costs $42,000? A base model luxury SUV that's going to depreciate twice as fast and cost twice as much to maintain. Look, here's what most people don't realize about the total cost of ownership, and this is critical. Depreciation is a real cost, even though you're not writing a check for it every month. The average new car loses about 20% of its value in the first year and about 60% over 5 years. Let's say you buy a $40,000 car. In 5 years, it's worth $16,000. You just lost $24,000. That's $4,800 per year, $400 a month, just in value evaporating. Now, if you buy a 3-year-old car for $25,000, it might be worth $15,000 in 5 years. You lost $10,000 or $2,000 per year, about $167 a month. You saved yourself $233 a month in depreciation alone by buying used. Then there's the insurance thing. Comprehensive and collision insurance on a $40,000 car is going to be way more expensive than on a $20,000 car. We're talking potentially double or triple, depending on your age and location. According to Bankrate's 2024 data, the average American pays about $2,168 a year for car insurance. But that varies wildly. Young drivers can pay over $4,000. People with luxury cars can pay over $3,000. Sports cars, forget about it. You could be paying $5,000 or $6,000 a year. And maintenance? Oh man, maintenance. Here's the thing about luxury brands and fancy cars. They cost more to maintain, period. An oil change on a Honda Civic, $40. An oil change on a BMW 3 Series, $150, because it takes synthetic oil and the dealer charges premium labor rates. Brake pads on a Toyota, $200. Brake pads on an Audi could be $600 or more. I'm not making this up. According to Your Mechanic's data analysis, the average 10-year maintenance cost for a Toyota Camry is about $5,500. For a BMW 3 Series, it's over $17,000. That's 3 times as much for essentially the same function, getting you to work. All right, so here's my formula for what you can actually afford. And this isn't about being cheap or never enjoying nice things. This is about not letting a car destroy your ability to build wealth. Step 1. Calculate your monthly take-home pay. Not gross, take-home. After taxes, after retirement contributions, after everything. Step 2. Multiply that by 0.10. That's your transportation budget if you want to build wealth. If you're okay with slower wealth building, you can go up to 0.15, but that's the absolute max. Step 3. Subtract your estimated monthly costs for insurance, gas, and maintenance. Be realistic here. Don't lowball it. Step 4. Whatever's left is your maximum payment. Don't go over it, not even by 20 bucks. Step 5. Use a car loan calculator to figure out what purchase price that payment supports. Use current interest rates. Right now, that's anywhere from 6% to 10%, depending on your credit. Step 6. That number you just calculated, subtract another 10% for negotiating room and unexpected costs. That's your real budget. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're making $60,000 a year. Your take-home is probably around $45,000 after taxes and retirement contributions, so $37.50 a month. 10% of that is $375 a month total transportation budget. Insurance, $150, and that's conservative. Gas, $150. Maintenance, $75. You've got $375 minus $375. Wait, that's zero. See the problem? If you want to actually build wealth on a $60,000 salary, you either need to drastically reduce some of those costs, or you need to buy a car in cash, maybe a $7,000 or $8,000 car that you save up for. But Rayhan, that's not realistic. I need a car for work. I hear you. So let's say you go up to 15%. That's $562.25 a month. After those same expenses, you've got about $187 for a payment. At 7% for 5 years, that's about a $10,000 car. Is it fun? No. Is it what Instagram is showing you? Absolutely not. But it's what you can actually afford without sabotaging your financial future. Let me break this down by income brackets so you can see where you actually fall. If you're making under $40,000 a year, look, I'm going to be real with you. You probably can't afford a car payment at all. I know that sucks to hear. Your best bet is to save up $3,000 to $5,000 and buy a reliable beater in cash. Find an older Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, or Mazda 3 with high miles but good maintenance records. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to save you from a payment that'll keep you broke forever. If you're making $40,000 to $60,000, you can probably afford a car in the $8,000 to $15,000 range. You're looking at something that's 7 to 10 years old with maybe 80 to 120,000 miles. The sweet spot is usually a 5 to 7-year-old Japanese midsize sedan or compact car. Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, Mazda 6 from that era are all solid choices. If you're making $60,000 to $80,000, you can look at the $15,000 to $25,000 range. Now you're getting into vehicles that are 3 to 5 years old, probably still have some factory warranty left, and are going to be pretty reliable. You could even consider a certified pre-owned if you find a good deal. If you're making $80,000 to $120,000, you can look at $25,000 to $40,000. This is where you have real options. You could buy a nice, nearly new mainstream car, or you could buy a slightly older luxury car if that's important to you. But here's my advice. Stick with the nice mainstream car. A 3-year-old loaded Mazda CX-5 is going to cost you way less to own than a 3-year-old base BMW X3, and it's honestly just as nice. If you're making over $120,000, you can afford more, but should you spend it? That's up to you. Just remember, every dollar you put into a depreciating asset is a dollar you're not investing in something that grows in value. Warren Buffett is worth over $100 billion and drives a Cadillac XTS he bought in 2014. Just saying. Now, you might be thinking, Rayhan, this is all well and good, but I have kids. I need a safe, reliable car. I can't just drive some beat-up old thing. I get it. Safety is important. But here's the thing. Safety technology has been really good for a long time now. A 2015 Honda CR-V has side airbags, stability control, anti-lock brakes, and got top safety ratings. You don't need a 2024 model to be safe. But what about reliability? Old cars break down all the time. Actually, no. Poorly maintained cars break down all the time. A 10-year-old Toyota with good maintenance records is going to be way more reliable than a 3-year-old Range Rover. Buy the right brands, get a pre-purchase inspection from an independent mechanic, and you'll be fine. But I'll spend so much on repairs. Maybe, but even if you spend $1,000 a year on repairs, which is a lot for a reliable used car, that's still way less than the depreciation alone on a new car, not to mention the lower insurance and registration costs. But the interest rates on used cars are higher. Sometimes, yeah, but you know what's more expensive than high interest? Borrowing more money. Would you rather pay 7% interest on $10,000 or 4% interest on $40,000? Do the math. The 7% loan costs you about $2,000 in interest over 5 years. The 4% loan costs you over $4,000. For most people, an expensive car isn't a wealth-building tool. It's a status symbol that we tell ourselves is a necessity. And I'm not judging. I get it. I really do. We live in a culture that equates your car with your worth as a person. Pull up to a date in a 10-year-old Corolla versus a new BMW, and yeah, you're probably going to get a different reaction. But here's what I want you to understand. The people who actually have wealth, the people who are actually financially secure, they're not the ones driving the flashiest cars. Study after study shows that millionaires drive ordinary cars. The book The Millionaire Next Door found that the average millionaire drives a 4-year-old car and buys used cars more often than not. You know who drives expensive cars? People who want to look rich, and there's a huge difference between looking rich and being rich. The person driving the $60,000 Mercedes might have $300,000 in debt. The person driving the $15,000 Camry might have $300,000 in investments. From the outside, you can't tell, but in 20 years, their lives are going to look completely different. All right, so what do you actually do with this information? Step 1, if you currently have a car payment that's too high based on what we talked about, don't panic, but do make a plan. Can you pay it off faster by throwing extra money at the principal? Can you refinance to a lower rate? Can you sell the car and buy something more affordable, even if you're underwater on the loan? Run the numbers on all of these options. Step 2, if you're about to buy a car, use the formula I gave you. Calculate your actual budget based on your take-home pay. Subtract all the other costs, and that's your maximum payment. Period. Don't let a dealer talk you into just $20 more a month. Step 3, consider buying used, not just because it's cheaper, but because it's actually the financially smart move for almost everyone. Let someone else take that first-year depreciation hit. Step 4, save up a down payment, 20% minimum. This does two things. It lowers your payment, and it proves to yourself that you can actually afford the car. If you can't save 20% of the purchase price, you can't afford the car. Step 5, get pre-approved for a loan from a credit union before you go to the dealer. Dealers make money on financing, and they're going to try to get you to use their financing, even if it's worse for you. Have your own financing lined up so you're shopping with cash, essentially. Your car should serve your life, not the other way around. If you're stressed about your car payment, if you're living paycheck to paycheck because of your car, if you can't save for retirement because of your car is running your life. And look, I'm not saying you should drive a jalopy forever and never enjoy anything. What I'm saying is that you should make intentional choices based on math, not emotions and status. Buy the car you can actually afford based on real numbers, not the car the bank will approve you for. Drive it for 10 years. Take the money you would have spent on payments and depreciation and invest it instead. In 10 years, when your friends who bought new cars every 4 years are still making payments, you'll have a paid-off car and a 6-figure investment account. That's the difference between looking rich and being rich. The car you can actually afford might not be the car you want right now, but it's the car that's going to let you build the life you actually want in the future. If this video helped you see car buying differently, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment letting me know what you're driving and whether you think you made a good financial decision or not. I read every comment. And remember, just because you can get approved for it doesn't mean you can afford it. I'll see you in the next one.